What we have here is the brand new album from the icon, the one and only Jilly from Philly, Jill Scott. And this record is called To Whom This May Concern. And this is her first record in over a decade. And first off, I really like this cover. This is really cool. And I feel like it's a pretty good representation of what you're about to dive into. And I did have to do some censorship down here at the bottom of the record. So I've been getting into enough trouble, especially on TikTok. And so unfortunately, you can't see all the goods. This is me shaking my bosom. But Jill Scott, if you're not aware, is a total legend, one of the most iconic voices in neo soul history, right up there with Erica Badu, Maxwell, and of course D'Angelo. Rest in peace. That one still hurts for me. And I do have to admit, and this is kind of embarrassing, but when I first heard that this record was coming out and Jill Scott was returning, I was curious, but I wasn't super excited, I guess you could say. And after listening to this album, I feel like an absolute fool because I guess in a way I had to be reminded of how incredibly talented and just how one of one Jill Scott is. Now, I'd have to probably do another redive into the discography of Jill Scott. I mean, I know all of her stuff, but her first record, Who is Jill Scott, is a masterpiece, just untouchable. And I don't think she could ever top that. But I'm getting to the point where I might consider this record to be number two. Now, this record is an absolutely perfect combination of neo soul, funk, hip hop, and Jill Scott herself. I gotta say, man, she has not lost a step vocally. She sounds incredible on this album. Like, I am honestly shocked because there's been a few singers, I won't call them out right now, but who've been around for a long time and they kind of just, to be completely frank, don't sound the way they used to sound. And you kind of have to just understand that that's part of life. People age, they can't really hit the same certain notes or have the same kind of registry that they maybe once had. But Jill Scott on this record sounds just as good as she has ever sounded. And also, another thing that I was reminded about when it comes to Jill Scott is that she is hilarious. She's really funny. And she's also just incredibly unapologetic as far as her lyrical content, what she chooses to observe. And she has a very unique way of observing just different dynamics between men and women, relationships, and just everyday life. And also, there's some really cool guest appearances on this record from the likes of Jid, Tierra Whack, Too Short. Too Short is on this record. And again, this record really runs the gamut stylistically. There is a track on here towards the end, right here, right now, which is basically a straight up club dance track, which I did not see coming on this album. There are just so many different taste tests, some samples of different genres that are really put together in a really great way. Like, it's all cohesive. You would think if you were to pluck out certain tracks on this album, you wouldn't think it would make any sense as one project. But on here, it absolutely does. And another thing with this record, I feel like that this is kind of a reminder or a reaffirmation as far as the idea of black girl magic. I know that's a term that's been kind of loosely thrown around a lot over the last 10 to 20 years, and maybe it's kind of lost its luster a bit. But I feel like this record makes me think about, I guess, the blatant disrespect for black women to this day still, as far as beauty standards, as far as their role in corporate America, as far as how much harder they have to work in order to achieve certain goals in comparison to other demographics. It also makes you think about the poor level of medical care that black women get. If you didn't know, that is well documented. And, that's not all on this record. I'm not saying that, but this is a great example of the power of a black woman. The awe-inspiring capabilities of a Black woman. Now, Jill Scott is a incredibly special talent. We've all known that for a very long time. But listening to this record, it's really, really cool to see a woman be in complete control of who she is and how she wants to represent her art. I think this record is fucking special. It's a really fun listen. It's a really cool listen. There is tons of great melodies. I think this is fantastic. And again, to talk about Black women as far as not getting the proper attention, I don't see the proper attention being given to this release. I don't see enough praise, in my personal opinion. I think this is absolutely fantastic. I love this record. I think it's really, really great. 10 sticks of butter. Peace, love, butter.